Hello, everybody. I am Edu Ribeiro, and I'm happy to be here one more time to talk about drumming, to talk with these incredible drummers that coming every week to talk with us. And today we're gonna have a huge one, a wonderful musician that I love, a wonderful friend, a great friend, and today I want to start playing some music for you. We are alone at home and we are looking forward to play a little. And I want to start playing some track with my verses for you. And after that, I will invite our great guest for today. Okay? I will gonna play El Rei dos Casamentos. There a song that I wrote for a friend, a drummer friend, that used it to invite me to play in some weddings when I moved to São Paulo. His name is Zinho. He's a great drummer, and he has a wonderful tone with bursts. And to Zinho and to you guys, El Rei dos Casamentos. Thank you for being here today. So, El Rei dos Casamentos, Tuzinho, great drummer from Brazil. And now I want to introduce you guys the great drummer. The first time that I heard him playing was with that orchestra that plays music for the world, uh, with Dizzy Gillespie and with Paquito de Rivera. And I just realized that I'm in front of a kind of drummer that can play any kind of music very, very, very good, with a very personality and with the feeling of any different kind of rhythm and style. Please, guys, clap your hands to Mark Walker, please. Mark.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark. Thank you for
I'm,
coming. Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
And great performance. Wow, I'm clapping for you.
oh,
Yeah, that
thank
was
you.
beautiful. Wow.
Thank you,
I hope
brother.
everybody's paying attention.
I hope too. And and I don't know how the life is here in do you live in Boston? Where do you live?
I live just outside of Boston in Natick, Massachusetts, about 30 minutes out of Boston.
Massachusetts. For me, it's hard to talk in English. I have to say sorry for that. But for me, the worst thing, the more difficult is Massachusetts. It's hard to live
Massachusetts, yeah, yeah. Well, you know,
Massachusetts.
Belo Horizonte. That's hard for me.
Belo, Belo Horizonte. That's good. That's
Belo
very
Horizonte.
good. Belo Horizonte.
We could go for an
And
hour just doing this.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know how the things is going there in Massachusetts, but here I'm crazy to play with people, and I'm playing with the play-alongs. And when we have some kind of conversation like that, I love to play a little for the people. And in the middle, I ask you to play too, because I think we have to play
Sure.
with someone, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I know what you
and
mean.
how is the life here? How is the things going here? You start to play a little. There is sessions. What is going
Well,
on?
I had a couple of recording sessions and a couple of pre-recorded things, and I had two live gigs, uh, and that was the first time playing live in over 5 months.
Wow.
So mostly I'm here in my studio, my little cave, and I'm practicing drums. I'm studying as a student, a grad student now at UMass Amherst. So I'm doing some stuff on the piano, and I'm practicing yoga, which is
Wow.
really, really wonderful.
That's good. That's good to
And I'm
make.
finding it's all one spiritual practice if you look at it in a big sense.
Yeah, yeah, man, that's very good. So, we just told me that you are going to. What are you doing? Your masters in in UMass? Is that
Yes, yes. And I'm studying with an old friend of yours, Dr. Felipe Salas.
Dr. Philippe Salles? We did together the reunion project maybe 4 years ago, and
Hmm.
I went to his house. I went to UMass. We recorded in Boston. And Felipe, I remember the first time that I saw Felipe, I don't know the word in English, but I just get in my university, and he was studying 2 years in front of me. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, and when they did some reception for us, and they played for us. And I remember that when Philippe starts to play, I said, "Man, look that guy!" Because the sound was so powerful, and the notes was
Beautiful sound,
beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful sound and beautiful conception, and that didn't make sense because he was so young and with a very professional sound and approach. That was amazing. That was so impressive to me for this time. And
Yeah, you know,
he's a great teacher. No,
he's
he's
brilliant. I mean, after a 2.5 hour class with him, my brain hurts.
wow. That's very
But
good,
it's,
man.
you know, I sort of approach, I'm I'm the kind of learner that's approaching it exactly opposite of him. Like he knew all the theory first, and then he learned to hear it. But me, I've been playing these standard tunes for like 40 years, and now I'm learning how to express them in Roman numerals and analyze what key they're in, and it's fascinating. It's really, really interesting, but it's really a lot for the brain.
Man, congratulations. He told me.
Thank you.
I talked with him. I talked with him some days ago, and he told me so happy. You don't know, Mark is here to do his master, composition master as composer.
Yeah.
That's great, man. And please tell me something. I was looking to know about your influence as a musician, as a drummer, and as a composer. And how about your starting on the music and your influence to be a musician, be a drummer, and etc.
Well, when I first got into it, I was listening. I mean, as a child, I heard a lot of different types of music around the house. My parents would play records on the record player, and I was exposed to a lot of jazz in my teens, and I really grew to love it. I got to see Art Blakey, Max Roach, Buddy Rich, and some other great drummers, a lot of great Chicago drummers. And when I reached about 18, 19, I started working professionally, and there were a lot of fantastic drummers in Chicago who helped me out, like Paul Wertico, Rusty Jones, Joel Spencer. I took some lessons with Joel Spencer. But, you know, I mean, it would probably take me an hour to tell you all the drum influences. Okay. So if we pick specific styles of music, I could tell you I've listened to. But one thing I have to say is, as far as Brazilian music, you know, there are so many great drummers, including yourself, that I listen to and appreciate so much.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you,
you know, Paulo Braga, Robertinho Silva,
Wow.
Portinho.
Yes.
You know Portinho?
I never met Portinho. I know him about
Oh,
the
man.
records, but
Yeah.
I think he was the first one that went to US and started to play with the jazz players in Manhattan. And
Right.
I would
And
love
actually,
to meet him.
the people he was playing with back in Brazil, I wound up playing with in Chicago. It was Breno Sauer, remember the vibes player and keyboard player?
Yeah.
He was like, he made some records in the 60s, and he and his wife Neusa had this group called Made in Brazil, which they later changed to Som Brasil. And that was that was the first Brazilian music I ever played. And I learned repertoire, and I started hearing the music of the artists first before I knew anything about percussion. I didn't know anything about percussion. So my groove was like, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't swinging, but I learned the tunes.
Yeah.
So that was sort of another way to do it. It was only later that I was exposed to percussion.
Yeah.
But you know, so many great drummers, and when I went to Brazil to perform, I hung out, and people took me to different houses. They had like canja, you know, jam sessions, and I heard some drummers that I never have seen since then, and they were amazing, really loose.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, I love Ayrton's playing.
Man, Ayrton is amazing. Man.
You know, I mean, he really is. He played a lot of different music with a lot of different musicians. It was amazing what he did.
Yeah. Yesterday, Ulysses Owens, that was the drummer that we did it last week, and he wrote me and he asked me to find 5 recordings from Bossa Nova to tell him about the drummers. And I said, man, it's impossible. But I started to make some research in my mind, and I start to go into the Ayrton trios in times of Bossa Nova, Sambrasa trio with Hermeto, and Samba Lanço trio with César Camargo Mariano. Man, Ayrton was killing, man. It's amazing. It's amazing. Great.
I think the first older recording of Ayrton I heard was A Vontade Mesmo with Raulzinho on
How so?
valve trombone. He
Yeah,
was just smoking on that recording.
and
Just
was Sambalanço trio with Raul de Souza, César Mariano, Claver, and man,
that's
that's
the one.
amazing. Wow,
Oh man.
I love
I
that.
mean, he overdrives the mics at the end. It's just so
Y-
intense.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
great,
yeah,
and it's such
yeah.
swing. That there was a moment. It was one of those life-changing moments where I was playing with the Made in Brazil band in Chicago, and
Mhm.
Claudio Roditi came into
Mm.
town, as well as
Mhm.
Portinho,
Wow.
and they sat in with the band and they played Blues Walk. Ba-ba-ba-da-da,
Mm.
ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-da. And it was so intense and so swinging that my jaw just dropped. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
like the arrow just went pow. That's happened a few times, with
Uh, oh man,
different rhythms and different musicians.
yeah, that's something that I really I really my English today is hard. I'm so sorry,
Don't
but
worry
it's
about it. No worries. No worries.
that I always see that in you, and it's amazing that you are so curious about the music of all the world. Paquito says something to me sometime. Paquito says, Mark, with this voice, Mark can play everything. Mark can play everything, and he said that you can play any kind of style, any kind of music, and he said and he knows the rhythm from the small island in Africa and the small island on the coast of
Right.
North America. He knows everything. And why are you so curious about that? Because you have a, 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 a huge history of the drummer at home at your city, but you are so curious about that, and you know everything. Why
Well,
are you
first of
doing
all,
that?
I would say that when I hear something new, I really love it. And I think partly what it is, it's what it all has in common is it relates to Africa.
Yeah.
And now I must disagree with you that I know everything. I don't know anything. I'm just know maybe tiny
Yeah,
bit.
you know
My cup is
everything.
empty.
Uh,
But I'm turned. I love the sound. I love the swing, the feel, and that's what I want to learn. And then the more you get into it, the more you start to learn about the musicians, and then the repertoire, and then the percussion instruments, and then it got me interested in writing some. So that's how I started writing. Actually, the first thing I wrote was when I was playing with Cesar Camargo Mariano. We were in Switzerland and or France, and I was waiting for them to show up to bring me to sound check. And I waited an extra hour from the time that they called, and and so I wound up singing ideas into a tape recorder with a bayal rhythm. And I just started singing stuff, and then I played it back. I said, "Oh, that sounds good." So I started writing it down,
oh,
and
great.
that led to. So sometimes when I get into a style, I mean, it's not really a plan, but I've gotten so interested in certain styles that I wanted to try to write something in that style. So therefore, I have to know what's going on, not just in the drums, but in the bass,
Yeah.
piano, percussion, etc. So,
Yeah.
like one of the tunes I wrote was a candombe from Uruguay,
Wow.
talking about Uruguay,
Yeah.
because I went down there like 8 times for the jazz festival with Paquito, and I met Oswaldo Fatoruso,
Wow.
great drummer, and he
Yeah.
was playing with his wife. He passed away a few years ago,
Yeah.
but he had a band with Mariana Ingold, who's still down there, and she's now married to Kit Walker, no relation to me, but great keyboard player. But I heard that sound, and I heard this something that was sort of related to samba a little bit, but it had clave. It had a whole different set of instruments that I have ever seen, and the sound just made me crazy. It was like, wow, this is so great. So each time I hear something new like that, it's like, new territory, let's explore. It's I get so excited.
Yeah, that's
And that with that comes responsibility to try to get to really know the basics.
yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Mark. Could you show me how is the candomblé? Because what I know about
Sure.
candomblé is something with some clave, kind of African clave, but I
Yeah.
never know it. Could you tell me? Tell us,
Sure.
for everybody here.
So the way I learned it is I was playing with Paquito's small big band, the United Nation Orchestra, and somebody had an arrangement of a candombe, and I said, "How do you play this?" I had never heard it, and they said, "Oh, it's just like." So it was like, to me, it was like a funk groove,
Okay.
and Oscar Stagnaro, who was playing bass in the band, who's I've been working with for good 25 years at least. He said it's kind of like that Michael Jackson tune. So it was very easy because they gave me a basic reference to hold on to, and so we played it on some gigs, and then one night in San Sebastian, Spain, Oswaldo Fatoruso showed up, and Paquito said, "Hey, Mark, can Oswaldo do a little duet with me, and then you sneak in and play the chart?" I said, "Yeah." And so they started this groove, and it was like the flow he had with this rhythm was just so natural and so swinging, and the way he spoke it on the drums was just so fluent and so natural. They were really having a nice duet together. And then me, with my long hair at the time, I snuck in and played the chart, just being blown away by his playing. And this whole incident is now on a YouTube video.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Why
So you can see them doing the duet, and at one point Bobby Sanabria starts playing, and Paquito gives him a dirty look, it's like, "Stop." But I love Bobby. I love Bobby. He's like,
Of course.
he knows more than anybody about Latin rhythms. Like,
Yeah.
he's a real historian. Anyway, but so the basics of candombe in a nutshell. One is the clave. There's many different claves, but a very common clave is like son clave. And that's played on the side of one of three drums. So these three drums are the small, medium, and large drums. The small one is called chico. It's played with a stick in a hand. Like, it looks like a short, fat conga drum.
Okay.
Chico. The center, the medium-sized one is called repique. And that's, as you could probably guess, that's the soloist. He plays a lot of soloistic type phrases.
Okay.
And then the bass drum, the lowest drum, is called piano, which is very confusing because if you're a piano player in Uruguay, it could be piano forte or piano drum. So all these drums, I mostly have seen them play with a stick and a hand. But the last time I went down to Montevideo, we hung out with this guy, Lobo Nunez, and he makes these drums out of recycled materials. And he was just playing with his hands, and it sounded so sweet, like so rich, the texture of the drums. And I knew the part, so I was jamming with him, and we were jamming. Anyway, so to get to the actual part, what I can do on the set is imitate the sound of the drums. It's not going to sound exactly because I don't have the actual drums. But if you take the high part, the chico, there's two ways to play the chico part. And I'll play the clave to introduce it. I don't know if I can play this with the clave or not, but here it is. Yeah, my coordination's a little off, but anyway. So that's the part. It's almost like a guitar part.
Yeah. You muff on the tempo.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that.
Oh, you can see the snare, yeah. Well, actually, the first part, the first stroke, is an open tone. Oh, I'm sorry. I played it on the second stroke. One, E and A, E and A, E and A. Like that. Now, the repique part, yeah, that's it. And then, and they raise the hand up very high. Ka-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. So if you hear it a little off, it could sound like that's the downbeat, and it sounds totally weird. But when you hear the clave, then you know where it is. The repique part is more improvised, but what they do on the repique drum is play on the side. They play the clave pattern, you know, or maybe other claves like. There's a lot of different claves, and if you listen to records by Oswaldo Fattoruso's brother, Ugo Fattoruso. He's made a lot of records with just piano and like 10 drummers. Wow. And they're amazing. And so they come up with all kinds of claves, but it's still 3/2 basically, you know, if you want to put it in that way. Now, the bass drum part, I use a combination of the floor tom and bass drum to play it. So it sounds like doom, 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 doom. So how I play it on the set, something like this. What I was trying to do is the hand part plays the very center of the drum, and that's where you get that bass tone. Boom, 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 boom. So if so the soloistic type of playing on the repique, just to go back to that drum, sometimes you have, like here's a sample phrase. So you can hear like the influence of Brazilian in that rhythm. It's really interesting. Yeah. So if you sing it like that, it's like, you know, it's right there, but it's all in clave. So I came up with a composite rhythm for a drum set. So I play the clave here. I play the chico part. No. But I also play one note of that on the floor tom to bring in the piano part. Yeah. And so the only thing that the repique is playing is the clave on this one, but you can always fill. So the composite sounds like this. Wow. So that's my little candombe demo.
Man, that's amazing, man. That's so hard to play. Two different voices playing together. great.
Well, it's interesting because I was checking out some candombe on YouTube just to see what people were doing because, I mean, that's the only way I could see it except to go down there. And I saw some drummers playing some amazing stuff. They were playing clave on the foot, and they were playing da-da-da-da-da-da with one hand and then soloing around doing that. There's some crazy stuff. Some crazy stuff on YouTube.
There's a lot of crazy people here.
Oh, yeah.
Be careful, yeah. Hey, Mark, we had a lot of a question here. Let's go and read
Okay, cool.
about
Sure.
the comments.
Okay.
I'm reading, and I will took to you the question.
Sure.
Argenor de
Okay.
Lorenzi, that is a great guitar player from Brazil. Is sending a hug for us.
Oh, yeah, hug.
Thank you, Honey. Thank you, Joyce Glasgow is saying hi, Mark Walker.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Someone from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Hi, Joyce.
Darren Scorza. Hello. Open
Hey,
studio.
Darren.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here. Check out the description for some goldies. That is the open studio. Argenor de Lorenzi, o rei dos casamentos. Thank you, Argenor. Marja Puc. Thank you, André Luisaga. Thank you for the verse. Beautiful song. Thank you, Miguel.
Oh, Ramon.
And now we have a very, that is a kind of crazy people that's going around. Ramon, for me, he has we have to put his in jail sometimes. Man, I remember the first time that I saw him, he was 17.
Yeah.
We have the same
Oh,
age.
yeah.
But he was 17, but he has that technique and that coordination at this time. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've been following him for a while, and like he plays more than one with one hand than both of us can play with each of our hands,
Yeah, he now is a
like
kind of
without even moving. It's crazy.
Now he is a kind of Wolverine style to playing
Yeah.
2 or 3 brass band. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But sometimes he took just one sticks and and you said,
Yep.
what's happening here? And
Yeah.
if,
Yeah.
if you check that, for me, when he started to play with percussion at the same time, that's not normal. That's the kind of danger people that we can
Yeah.
see at the word.
And if anybody wants to learn Brazilian coordination, get his book. He's got a great book. Great book.
Oh,
Yeah.
And he says, thank you for this interview. Love here, Mark with Paquito, all the best friends. Thank you, Ramon. He's a very great guy, man.
Thank you.
Cat in Durham, thank you.
Obrigado, Ramon.
Joseph Macklin. Moller Techniques, very important. Is one. Zegni Bisnek, Kate and Toro. Thank you, Edu and Mark. The people is saying, obrigado. Obrigado, obrigado. Thank you for that. Hey, Mark, you are a great teacher. I know that you worked in Berkeley for a long time. How long?
That's true. About 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
And what do you teach in Berkeley? Drums, but special, kind of special thing? No.
Well, I teach private lessons, and I have a few drum labs, and two of them I created. One of them is called Caribbean Rhythms for Drum Set, and the other one is called South American Rhythms for Drum Set. So exactly what you just heard is one of the things I teach in the South American rhythms. And there's also a drum and bass lab that I teach with Lincoln Goins called Funkifying the Clave, which is based on his book with Robbie Amin, who's another amazing drummer from New York.
A great book, man. Love this book.
Yeah. So we create a new curriculum on that, and that's a lot of fun. And I've taught ensembles, and actually Bob Gulati, who was a longtime Berkeley teacher in Boston, amazing drummer. He taught at Berkeley for a long time, and I got to know him. And then after he passed away, I inherited his ensemble and some of his students, and I got to familiar with some of his teaching methods. So that was amazing. That's the thing about Berkeley. It's like there's so many great musicians over there. It's just endless. I mean, it's just in the percussion department. You know, you have some really, really exceptional players in the percussion department.
I would love to be there sometime. I never been in Berkeley. I would love to
Oh
make some
man, well you're
visits
welcome. Yeah, once things get back to normal, yeah, man, we'll feature you in a clinic, and you know,
Oh man, I would
we'll
love
have some fun.
to spend some time.
Yeah,
It will be my pleasure.
yeah.
And the last time that we talked in Frutillar in Chile,
Hmm.
I was feeling a little cold, but in Boston it's too much cold. Uh, the weather, the weather in Boston is too much cold for me, man. For people from Brazil, is hard to be there.
It's
But
all relative.
yeah, the last time you told me about your studio, that you are uh, making a studio to record, to make some productions, and that's
Yes,
this beautiful studio. And are you
yes. I'll give you
recording there?
a quick studio tour. Um, well, this is my Yamaha kit.
Oh,
Well,
great.
I play Yamaha, and I have another kit on the other side over there. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't really see it. It's a beautiful absolute hybrid maple, and there's a piano over there, and I've got my desk. It's kind of a mess, but one of the things I'll be doing here, besides practicing and studying, is I'll be a teacher's assistant at UMass, and I'll be compiling all the recordings for big band ensembles. So I'll be mixing
Okay.
and collecting and mixing in Pro Tools and stuff like that. So that's
Okay.
that's kind of a new gig,
Oh,
but it's
that's
fun
great.
though. I just sitting in on the big band sessions with Professor Jeff Holmes. I mean, just sitting in on one session, the way he was talking to the brass players about articulation and the way they treat a note, I learned
Yeah.
so much about, well, what we're supposed to do, and also about the music, which is really, really great. It's so inspiring to learn,
Wow. Man, that's very good to keep your mind every day knowing something different. Man,
Yeah,
that's
and it just happened to work out that I have to stay in my cave.
yeah,
So I don't have to drive to Amherst.
yeah. That's something that in this time we start to do more, but I think that are going to stay more to more do
Right.
that kind of thing that we are doing now. I'm in São Paulo, you are in US, and
Yeah.
we can have this conversation and talk about music, and that's is very good. And you told about the United. What is the name of the orchestra from Paquito?
Well, the original United Nations Orchestra was Dizzy Gillespie's band, and
Yeah.
then Dizzy's manager, Charlie Fishman, uh, he had the rights to the name, so he and Paquito formed a new band, a 14-piece band, and I started working with them just when I was getting ready to move to New York in 1994. And in 1996, when I got a call from Michel Camilo to work with him, I subbed out of that band, and Antonio Sanchez subbed for me.
Wow.
And I was basically subbing for El Negro, or Horacio Hernandez.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. They are amazing. Horacio and the other Daphnis Prieto.
Daphnis and Cliff Almond.
Man.
And there's been some other drummers too who've been amazing.
And
And percussionists, of course.
I remember one record from Michel Camilo, and I think it was Sweets. I can't remember the name from Sweets and Ring.
Yeah,
It was Wacko on drums
yeah,
and Mark Johnson on bass.
that
Man,
was amazing.
That was amazing. That album is
And the
amazing.
sound they got in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weckel always had that great pocket and great sound. He really knew the studio, how to EQ drums and how to get,
Yeah.
how to get things to sound a certain way. I really respect him a lot.
Man.
I don't know why people have put him down.
Man, that was amazing, and it's so fresh, the recording. It's so
Yeah.
live. That recording is amazing.
And Mark Johnson, of course, is just
I did
ridiculous.
I don't know why I didn't have the clarity that was Mark Johnson on this recording, and I found because I didn't have the album, I have just some tape, and I
Yeah.
found that information, and I wrote Mark. Uh, are you here? And he said, yeah, because Mark is Eliane's husband,
Right.
and
Right.
man, they are so nice. And he said, yes, it's me, and I didn't know that, man, and that is amazing. That's
Oh yeah.
is great.
And the other bass player on that record is Lincoln Goins, who
Yeah,
I just mentioned with Funkifying the Clave. So he's a great acoustic player as well.
yeah, yeah. I met
But
Lincoln playing with the guitar player.
Mike
Lincoln was
Stern?
record Mike Stern, yeah, in
Yeah.
Japa.
Oh,
Uh,
great.
he's nice, and but that book, man, funking the clave, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
Funkifying. Yeah.
Yeah, funky fine clave. I love these grooves. That grooves. That
I have to say, Eliane, I got to work with Eliane for a bunch of gigs, and she's a real force of nature.
yeah
You know,
yeah
she always locks on to the drummer when you play a gig with her. She's always looking at you straight the
yeah
whole gig. So you have to be totally present, which I really like. You know,
yeah yeah.
you can't just like think
And
about, what am I going to eat after the gig? You know.
no. And she knows everything that happens. For me, was
Oh
a,
yeah,
a huge experience recording with her. Because
yeah.
we didn't have a good experience setting up the studio. Was a little confused, and we had
Ah.
just a little time, just one day to do
Hmm.
the whole recording, and
Wow, really?
he catch every part, and he said, no, that part is good, one more part from this, one more part for that,
Yeah.
and she bring a very good result.
Oh yeah, I heard it.
She won Grammy with this recording.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Oh, so about the
Sounds beautiful.
Grammys, about the Grammys. Told us about your Grammys. Uh,
So I was nominated for Grammy for a composition I wrote that was recorded by Oregon, the group Oregon that I played with for like 23 years. And the name of the track is Deep Six, and it's basically Afro-Cuban 6/8 and kind
yeah,
of free improv in the solos.
yeah,
And at the same time, I had written a tune for Paquito's record, Funk Tango, called What About That, which was a bayao and samba. And
yeah.
that record won a Grammy. And
Wow,
I took my wife to the Grammys, and I accepted the Grammy for that record because I was the only one there from the band. But it was
wow.
crazy. And then, so I have a couple of statuettes from records I played on that had won with Paquito.
Yeah,
But there were some other records that got nominated, and sometimes we got little medallions, and sometimes we
medals.
just got certificates, you know.
Yeah,
But it's basically just like it's acknowledgement from your peers. Like if you're involved in the music business and you sign up for the Grammy organization, you can vote.
yeah,
So um, when we recorded all that stuff, I had a friend in the business who was pretty high up in the Grammy organization. His name is Bill Trout, and he's the father of Ross Trout, who actually played on one of Eliane's records. Great guitar player. And he used to manage Oregon, the band, so it's all a small world. And
yeah.
I asked him, well, we have these CDs out, the Grammys are coming up, what should we do? He said, okay, take 2 boxes of, take a box of each record and send it to the Grammy chapter people and
Okay.
send a nice note. So I did, and it got nominated.
Oh,
So
that's
I guess that's,
very good.
you just have to, I mean, it's a different thing now because not many people send physical product these days, but it was nice to get a little advice from someone up there,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. Oh man,
Yeah,
congratulations for that.
thank you.
That's amazing. And Mark, We have more questions here from Miguel
Sure.
Antônio de Vincenzo. Mr.
Okay.
Walker, I saw you here. Here. We can read that. You can read that?
Oh yeah, Venezuela. Wow. Okay, so I've been playing with Paquito de Rivera for about 31 years now. It's crazy.
Wow.
And from the very first time playing with him, uh, it was it was kind of like a music lesson, and it was also extremely fun. So he loves to have fun, and he loves to interact, and he loves to play, but he's a very serious musician at the same time. And one of the things I learned playing with him was how to control the volume on the drums, or at least I
Yes.
try, because he's playing
Yes.
clarinet up there. He's not
Yes.
always playing alto. Sometimes he's playing clarinet. And sometimes we've played situations where we didn't even use monitors,
Yeah.
and it was cool. Uh, it's hard to play that way and to play really, really intense. But there's some drummers that can do it. And actually, I have to mention a drummer that sometimes works with him once in a while that lives in Miami. His name is Ludwig Alfonso. He's got
Ludwig
such a
Alfonso.
beautiful, he's a Cuban drummer, and he's got a beautiful touch and really great dynamics.
Wow.
So I had to mention him because, he's sat in on gigs I played, and just wonderful, wonderful player. And he's got the Cuban languages, but he doesn't have to like really hit it hard
Yeah.
to get the sound. So
Yeah.
it's a lifetime pursuit to try to get a beautiful sound out of the instrument and play in a controlled way. Some drummers would disagree with me. I understand that. You know, if you're going to play, if you're going to have your own band, you should be able to play exactly what you want to play. And that's cool. I understand that. If you want to play like Tony Williams, yeah, he would play hard. The drums
Yeah.
were meant to play loud, he said, but it's another school. So I try to be open to who I'm working with, because
Yeah.
if I play a rock gig, I have to hit.
Yeah.
But even then, there has to be dynamics in the song. So we're working with Paquito, Andy Narell, steel pan player, Ralph Towner, guitarist, classical guitar with one microphone.
Yeah.
You have to play in a controlled way.
Hard to play. Yes.
And the other thing is about playing with Paquito, you have to expect the unexpected. He might give you a chart that has a classical snare part, or it might have a new arrangement from somebody that's been playing it for a long time. So you have to expect the unexpected, and it's part of the beauty of it. It's like I used to say to myself, Paquito is going to throw a curveball. The ball's coming like, whoa, like that.
Yeah.
Paquito's always going to throw a curveball, so be ready.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to read. You have to be able to play different styles. You have to play different dynamics. You have to play different combinations of instruments. You might have a bandoneon player and a harpist
Yeah.
and a cuatro player,
Wow.
or he might have Pedrito Martinez on percussion and Pernell Saturnino on percussion and all kinds of people. It's a wild, it's a beautiful jungle, I should say.
Yeah.
With Paquito.
Yeah.
And he always brings it together with exploring different traditions and his sense of humor. Like Mozart was actually from New Orleans,
Yeah.
things like that. Chopin
Yeah.
was from Puerto Rico, that.
Yeah. And he has such a great charisma with people when he's a showman. I remember
He
I went
is.
with
He is.
I went with him to see Michel Camilo Big Band in Blue
Oh,
Note,
yeah.
New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he invited me to that, and we had a dinner. And
Yeah.
at the moment that he went to the stage, just to make to play just one number, and it was completely different because he kept the audience. He's so charismatic with the people, and of course his sound is amazing. but he's
Beautiful.
he's the people that when he's beautiful. He's amazing.
He's a natural showman, and he doesn't have a filter, so he can just be himself all the time. You know, he can he's the same way off stage as he is on stage. There's no difference.
Yeah,
You know?
that's amazing. That's very good. That's very good. And we have another question for you from
Sure.
Lewis Connell. How are you, Leo? Thank you for coming here. Get to hear about the you guys.
Okay. How to set up a drum studio? Well, basically, I mean, I have a weird setup, so maybe mine's not the best example. But if you have a mic and you have an interface and you have a laptop, that's pretty much all you need. And of course, the drum set.
Yeah.
What you have to do is you have to experiment with a microphone, putting it in different places. I saw on this website called The Recording Revolution, I saw them mic a drum set with one mic right on top of the bass drum,
Yeah.
facing up.
Yeah,
And they recorded like a pop kind of track, and it sounded really good. So you can take one mic and move it around, or you can, if you have two mics, great. But you don't need to spend a ton of money. You have to spend a lot of money. And I actually have this whole kit mic'd up. I'm speaking through the overhead mic, and I have to turn myself down when I play. And it's going through some preamps, very fancy preamps. And it's going through a mixer. And then I routed out of the mixer into an interface here and into the computer. Usually the mixer goes into the other computer I have, and I record tracks for different people and, you know, different projects and stuff like that. Sometimes I overdub percussion and stuff like that. But that's kind of I mean, the only reason I'm running tracks from the other computer is because if I operate something like this, I don't know, StreamYard seems to be working pretty well, but I don't want to take a chance, so I run a track from another computer, just in order not to slow down this one.
Okay. Okay.
So my internet is, you know, so because this is not part of my house. This is it was a detached garage.
Yeah.
So when I walk to my house, it takes me like 30 seconds. So I go up to my kitchen, I get a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
and then I come back here and do some more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have a space, and you have an interface, and you have a microphone and a laptop, you're good to go. You just have to get to know the settings in each of the things. So that's how you do it.
Great.
I mean, there are many people that know much more, but that's a very basic
Yeah,
approach.
But it works a lot. And
Yeah.
You have one more question from Catherine Doran. Curious.
All right.
Mark, what your non-music habit, practice or activity best helps your music?
I think it all relates to music somehow, but I really appreciate the practice of yoga because that really helps me work with the body, work with the breath, and concentrate the mind. And it helps me remember to breathe. Sometimes I forget to breathe when I play drums, you know? And so it's a nice reminder, and it's a consistent practice where I show up for myself. And I think that's good. Also, of course, practicing drums, but if we're talking about non-musical practice, yoga, and also meditation, like a spiritual practice, a sitting practice. I think that's good because that kind of, you can just show up for yourself, like I said, and no matter what's going through your mind, you can just observe it in a compassionate way. You know, I don't judge myself if my mind's all over the place, but at least it gives me a chance to focus and try to concentrate on what really matters. And then that hopefully gets in the music, because it's all, to me, it all becomes a spiritual practice after a while. You know, hopefully.
Oh, great, great. Hey, Mark.
So
We talked at first that you have some tracks. We are running out at the end, but we want to listen. You're playing a little. Could you play something for
Sure.
some track for us? Is there?
okay, cool. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I'll just take me about 30 seconds to start it, and then
No
I'll be
problem.
back, and I'll
I
just
will-
jump on the drums and play. Okay,
No problem.
thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Take your time. Thank you so much. And I will talking with you guys. Bruno Lemes, I will talk with Mark after he plays a little for us because we have to listen him playing. People, thank you for being here. Ramon, muito obrigado. Miguel, Luigi.
This is going to be an Afro-Cuban style tune called Berkeley Brothers, featuring Alex Brown. And we have reached the finish line.
Hey, brother, man.
Nobody's hurt.
Man,
Woo!
first of all, the sound of the drum set is amazing. Your touch is amazing, man.
Oh, thank you.
Man, and that is your music. You
No, actually, that was composed by Alex Brown, who was Paquito's piano player for a long time. Brilliant young piano player. And Oscar Stagnaro is on bass.
Yeah.
And we recorded that in this studio,
Wow.
and with no click, so the tempo is a little bit, but it's okay. I take a chance.
And no click and no click till you play with this
Right.
this kind of wow. That's
I
amazing.
overdubbed a Guido, but the tempo was a little bit, up and down because my tempo was a little bit up and down. But it's okay. It's not. It's not meant to be totally metronomic.
That was amazing. People
Thank
is
you.
clapping. People is clapping
Good.
their hands for
All right.
for that. And do you have another cowbell in the right side of the drum set?
Yeah. So I've been with Meinl percussion for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and so I have 3 different size steel bells on the kit right now. So this one I really like. It's got a real rich sound.
Yeah.
And then I got a cha-cha bell. And then over here I've got a kind of medium, like a timbale bell.
Okay.
So I can play rhythms like something like
Wow, that's hard. What are you doing?
So basically what I was doing was I was playing a typical campana, like a Afro-Cuban campana pattern, con, ki, con, tiki, don, with the right hand. Yeah, so on the same bell, like a large bell, con, ki, con. And then on the other one, I was playing, which is based on the timbale bell pattern. So these 2 patterns are played together in the chorus on a typical Latin jazz or salsa tune. Those are like the standard patterns. I mean, there are other patterns, but those are the, So so I was thinking when I was playing this tune that because of the bass drum pattern, it was a little bit like Ijaja
Ishasha. Yes.
or Afroche.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was really meant to be like Cuban timba. So it's sort of where that meeting of those 2 things, We
Yeah.
actually recorded another version more Ijaja.
Yeah. They are always.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo!
Oh man,
That's beautiful. I love that. I love
man,
that.
but that's so hard to play. Tell me again the line of the left hand. Left hand.
Okay, so I'll play it real slowly so you can check it out.
Please.
So
in the human tempo. Wow, that's.
it kind of reminds me of there's a Michel Camilo version of Mambo In, and Horacio Hernandez plays this groove based on that, and of course he orchestrates it and plays clave at the same time. It's this killer groove, and we used to play that, and I learned that groove, but I forgot exactly what it was, but I have to revisit that. But yeah, so that's a fun pattern to play on those 2 bells.
Man,
And
that's amazing.
and the drums, of course, are Yamaha. And I just put a new Remo head on the snare. I put a vintage coated Ambassador,
Wow.
and it
sounds
feels really good.
when you
It's like I just put it on a couple of days ago, and I have regular coated ambassadors and power stroke on the bass drum. But man, vintage coated, it's something about it. It's like it's sort of a throwback to an older. It's almost like a diplomat, an emperor, and an ambassador at the same time. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you play Remo or what do you play? Are you an Evans guy? Oh, okay, okay.
Evans guy,
I'm not sure what the equivalent would it be, but they must have something in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I'm just using the G1 that is similar to Ambassador.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But man, they do every day a different thing. That one that imitates the animal skins is very good too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kind of fiber skin.
That's nice.
And cloth tone.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah, and they put that on the pandero.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
We are going to our end, but there is just one more question from Bruno Lemos.
Sure.
From Brazil. He said that I saw that Mark did one work that named Bateria in 4D with the from the dictionary, the written Jack Lima from Brazil.
Yes, Jack Lima. Wow. Jack is a brilliant guy. Do you know Jack?
No, I never met him.
He's got a whole system. Yeah, he's got a whole system of rhythmic counting, and the way like you can come up with endless creative ideas if you look at just like one number, the way he divides it and everything. So he approached me, and what I did was I filmed just one motif, which was da ba 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 ba, but it was in different combinations on drum set and with different limbs. And so I have a website called markwalkerlessons.com where I have all my lessons up there, and including that series of lessons from Jacques. Okay. And I remember there was one combination that was so hard, it literally took me 100 takes to do it. But then when I switched the bass drum and hi-hat part, it took me one take. It was crazy. And then he explained the whole system of, I text with him sometimes on WhatsApp, and he explained the whole system of how it goes together. It's really fascinating. It's like a whole formula.
Wow.
It's really crazy.
The name is Rhythm Dictionary. Is that?
Yeah,
Rhythm
Dictionary of Rhythm. And it's just it just has the rhythms. It doesn't have any drum set patterns or anything. It's strictly just a system. So you take that system and you can put it on different things and develop things out of it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, a lot of potential. I mean, it's one of those endless things.
Hey, Mark, I have to say thank you for being here. And
muito prazer.
Muito obrigado, muito prazer. We have to say thank
muito
you.
Prazer.
I have to say thank you to Open Studio and to
thank you.
Rachel, Peter, Adam, everybody from Dan, everybody. And I have to say thank you for everybody that came here to listen us talking about music, every drummer, every musician.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And man, thank you for accept my invitation and to share your music, share your music and your life and your experience with me and with people here.
Muito obrigado. Grande abraço.
Grande
Great
abraço,
to see you, brother.
Mike. Great to see you too.
All right.
Beijo.
See you too.